Imagine just for a breath that everything you think is real isn't. That every heartbeat you've spent worrying, striving, fearing, chasing, building was not a march toward meaning, but a dance inside a dream you forgot you were dreaming. We live like condemned souls in a cosmic courtroom, terrified of the verdict, convinced that one wrong move will exile us from some imaginary paradise of perfection. What if that entire seriousness, that crushing weight you carry like an iron crown, is nothing but a spell, a performance so convincing that the actors have forgotten their acting? Because here's a truth ancient mystics whispered in temples, and psychedelic shamans saw in the trembling feathers of time. Life is not an exam, not a punishment, not a verdict. Life is a game, a cosmic, bewildering, awe-soaked game. A play of consciousness, wearing 1,000 masks and pretending to forget itself just so rediscovery feels like a universe exploding inside a single mind. And yet, here we are, moving through our days like prisoners instead of players. You wake, you worry, you breathe, you doubt, you exist, and you fear the consequences of existing wrong. You try to be a perfect character in a script you didn't write. You perform emotions like currency, trade dreams for comfort, trade innocence for identity. You've forgotten the first rule of this cosmic theater. You are not what you think you are. When you were a child, you knew the secret. You moved between realities with reckless grace. One moment you were a warrior fighting invisible empires, the next a magician conjuring worlds from sticks and dust. Your play was sacred, total immersion, total surrender, yet you always knew it was play. Then someone whispered the most dangerous instruction ever given to a human being: stop pretending, grow up, be real, and you obeyed. You stepped into a costume and never took it off again. You became the student, the achiever, the struggler, the dreamer, the failure, the success. You forgot that these titles are costumes, not identities. Now you wear them like skin, you clutch them like oxygen. And the tragedy is not that you struggle. The tragedy is that you believe you are the struggle. You think you are the anxiety, the ambition, the insecurity, the persona curated for survival inside a system that worships seriousness and calls play naive. But beneath the character, beneath the constructed personality dripping with memory and fear, there is something ancient watching, something silent, untouched, eternal. A presence behind your eyes that was there before your name, before your first thought, before the world sculpted you into a shape it approved of. That awareness, not the story, not the voice in your head, but the space it echoes in, that is you, not the actor, but the awareness playing all actors. Not the wave, but the ocean dreaming itself into waves. Not the frightened human inside time, but the timeless consciousness pretending to be human for the thrill of the ride. Think about it. If existence were merely survival, efficiency, reproduction, why beauty? Why poetry? Why music that makes you cry without reason? Why sunsets that turn bones to prayer? Why laughter that feels like eternity waking up inside your ribs? Why do we dream? Why imagine? Why does a child see more universes in a cardboard box than most adults ever find in a lifetime of reality? Because somewhere deep we remember. We remember the game. We remember that existence is not linear, not mechanical, not logical. It is ecstatic, strange, shimmering with mystery. We remember that we came here to play, not to tremble beneath illusions of failure. But seriousness invaded like a shadow. The game became a grind. Wonder was traded for worry. Imagination surrendered to anxiety. The child God became a frightened adult, clinging to identity like a life raft in a sea of possibility. And yet, the truth never left. It sits like a hidden ember inside your consciousness, waiting for breath, waiting for attention. Waiting for the moment you pause and ask, what if the world I fear isn't real? What if the prison door was never locked? See how panic loosens, how the air shifts? When you stop gripping reality like a drowning man clinging to a breaking plank, life softens, it becomes fluid, improvisational, playful. The universe does not demand your fear. You demanded it to make the game feel real. Because what is a game without stakes? What is a story without conflict? You're not a lost soul trapped in chaos. You are infinite consciousness playing hide and seek with itself through the lens of a temporary mind. The fear you feel, that existential tension, isn't proof you are doomed. It is proof you are awakening. When the caterpillar dissolves in the cocoon, it feels like annihilation. It feels like death. But the universe whispers a deeper truth. Transformation rarely feels safe. Awakening rarely feels gentle. The soul shakes when it remembers it is free. And you are free not because life gives freedom, but because freedom is what you are beneath the illusion. Look at your worries from this distance. The job title you cling to, is it you? Or just a mask? The opinions you defend, will they survive the silence of death? The failures you torment yourself with? Were they not just narrative twists in a storyline invented to teach you improvisation? If you wake from a nightmare sweating and shaking, do you blame yourself for the monster? No, because you realize I created it. I believed it. I survived it. And it was only a dream. What happens when you treat waking life the same way? When you stop clutching identity like a survival weapon? When you don't measure each moment as good or bad, success or failure, win or loss? When you start living like a lucid dreamer inside your own consciousness? The seriousness melts. The gravity lightens. The world becomes fluid again, like in childhood, when imagination wasn't fantasy but power. You don't withdraw from life. You enter it fully for the first time. Without the fear of losing, you finally play. You speak without rehearsing. You risk without trembling. You love without armor. You explore without needing a map. You see others not as opponents, but reflections of the same mystery wearing different faces. And suddenly existence feels less like a burden and more like a miracle performing itself through you. You did not come here to win. You came here to experience, to taste, touch, wonder, transform, awaken, forget, remember, dissolve, reappear, to play roles so convincingly that rediscovering the truth feels like enlightenment crashing through your skull, like dawn breaking through eternity. Somewhere inside you already know. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. That's why something inside you stirs right now, because the deepest part of you recognizes these words not as new information, but as memory, a memory older than time. A cosmic truth whispered in your bones long before language existed. A truth that says you are not trapped in the character, you are the one playing the character. And this moment right now is not random. It is the beginning of remembering, and yet in the quiet tremor of your own heartbeat, there exists a truth you've been running from. You feel it, even when you deny it. The truth that everything you fear is nothing more than a doorway. And the moment you stop resisting, life begins to unlock itself like some cosmic vault that was always yours to open. Because life doesn't chase those who hide. It reveals itself to those who dare to look back at it without trembling. Most people never do. They carry fear like a sacred heirloom passed down from generation to generation, a shadow they defend instead of dismantling. They cling to suffering because suffering feels familiar, almost comforting in its predictability. But familiarity is not freedom. Familiarity is the cage disguised as home, and every T you break a boundary in your mind, a universe shifts. Every time you challenge a fear, reality fractures and rebuilds itself around you. You become less human in habit and more human in awakening. Because awakening is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you always were. You are not here to survive. You are here to pierce reality. You are here to meet yourself in the spaces where most are afraid to enter. You are here to walk through chaos without losing your flame. You are here to dissolve the ancient lie that you are small. Think of all the times life tried to break you, not because it hated you, but because it knew you were made for more. Every collapse was a baptism. Every ending was a doorway disguised as destruction. Do not mistake the cracking of old identity for failure. The shell must fracture for the being to emerge. People crave transformation without disruption, but Transformation is disruption. Evolution is never gentle. It uproots, it shatters, it burns away illusions with ruthless mercy. The question is not, why is this happening to me? The real question is, what part of me is trying to wake up? You did not come into this world to be comfortable. You came to dissolve boundaries, to push thought beyond the edges where language fails and only experience remains. You are not a visitor here. You are not a mistake of biology. You are consciousness exploring itself through the theater of matter. You are the question and the answer, the seeker and the path, the student and the awakening. But to realize this, you must let go of the illusion that safety lies in certainty. Certainty is a prison. Curiosity is liberation. The universe rewards those who are willing to step without knowing where the ground will form beneath them, because the ground only appears when you walk. Destiny doesn't arrive. You carve it with each courageous breath, and when you feel lost, when doubt grips your chest like an iron fist, remember this. Confusion is not a sign you are failing. Confusion is sacred. It means you have outgrown a layer of yourself. It means reality is rearranging around you. It means you are entering territory where your old identity cannot follow. Do not run from that feeling. Lean into it. Let it transform you. For every moment of uncertainty is a seed of revelation. If you can hold your ground inside the trembling, breakthroughs rise like dawn over the ruins of who you thought you were, and the world opens, not because it suddenly changed, but because you did. The mind is not a cage unless you agree to remain its prisoner. You can rewrite your narrative at any moment, not by force, but by becoming conscious of the script running beneath your thoughts. Most people never question the story they live inside. They accept limitation as truth. Society is master. Fear is identity. But you are not here to inherit fear. You are here to dismantle it. You are here to be the interruption in the generational spell of smallness. There will be voices, internal and external, whispering that it's safer to blend in, to shrink, to comply with the familiar rhythm of ordinary existence. But ordinary is a choice. Quiet conformity is a choice. Dimming your light so others don't feel uncomfortable is a choice. And you are choosing something else. Not comfort, but consciousness. Not security, but sovereignty. Not certainty, but awakening. Feel the edge of your becoming. Feel the electricity in the unknown. Feel the pull of your own potential calling you forward like a star whispering to a seed buried in the earth. This is not the time to retreat. This is the time to rise. Silently, steadily, fiercely, this is the time to remember that every great transformation in history began with someone who refused to remain asleep. Others will not understand you, not at first. They will mistake your clarity for rebellion, your depth for eccentricity, your silence for stance. Let them. Their confusion is not your burden. The path of the awakened is always misunderstood by those who cling to the dream, because awakening does not follow the rules of the world. It invents new ones. It bends reality not through force, but through alignment. You are evolving beyond the structure you were handed. You are learning to trust the voice inside the silence, the one that existed before society spoke, before fear conditioned you, before the world taught you to shrink. That voice is not imagination, it is memory. Memory of who you were before forgetting became survival. And now you remember, not all at once, but in fragments, in waves, in unexplained courage, in sudden clarity, in moments where you feel larger than your body, older than time, more real than the world around you. That is not fantasy, that is awakening. And while the world urges you to hurry, to chase, to consume, to compete, you begin to notice something remarkable. Stillness is stronger. Silence is sharper. Awareness is louder than noise. You find power where others see emptiness. You find truth where others seek distraction. And the more you awaken, the more you realize that consciousness does not expand through force. It expands through surrender. Not surrender to fear, but surrender to the truth that lies beneath it. The truth that you are not the noise in your head. You are the one listening. Let life unfold. Let yourself unravel. Let the illusion fall like dust from the bones of your being. You are not becoming something. You are returning to something ancient, eternal, luminous, unstoppable. And somewhere within that quiet transformation, you begin to recognize a strange freedom. The freedom that arrives not when life becomes easier, but when you stop seeking permission to exist. You no longer ask the world, is this okay? You simply move, you breathe, you expand, because existence itself is your validation. You were never meant to fit into a world built on fear. You were meant to reshape it by remembering what fear tried to make you forget. Most people wait for the right moment, never realizing the right moment is created, not found. They wait for clarity before they act, for certainty before they leap, for approval before they speak. But waiting is a subtle form of surrender. Surrender not to life, but to illusion. You are not here to wait. You are here to wake up the currents of destiny by stepping into the unknown. The universe does not move for those who hesitate. It moves for those who step first. Every truth you have ever needed already lives inside you, buried beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning, beneath the urgency of a world obsessed with motion, yet terrified of meaning. And when you finally listen, truly listen, you will realize that awakening does not arrive with fireworks or triumphant music. It arrives as a gentle internal rearrangement, a soft certainty, a whisper that says, you are more than you ever believed. You begin to see how much of your suffering came not from life itself, but from resisting the parts of life that were designed to shape you. You were not broken. You were growing in directions others could not understand. And every time you doubted yourself, it was because you mistook the discomfort of evolution for the failure of identity. Growth is never comfortable. Comfort is never transformative. You will feel misunderstood. Good. That means you are stepping beyond the predictable borders of who you once were. You will feel alone. Good. That means you are learning to hear the voice that exists beneath society's programmed chorus. You will feel uncertain. Good. That means you are moving into territory where your old self cannot guide you, and a greater self must be born. You are not supposed to stay the same. Even stars collapse before they shine brighter, and when fear rises again, because it will, meet it like an old friend. Do not fight fear. Why? To ness it. Fear only controls the unconscious. The conscious mind observes fear and walks forward anyway. Courage was never the absence of fear. Courage is the refusal to be shaped by it. Remember this, if life is testing you, it is because life trusts you. The weak are not challenged, the asleep are not awakened. Only souls ready to evolve are pushed into the fire of transformation. And yes, there will be moments where you want to quit. Moments where doubt presses so hard against your chest that breathing feels like a rebellion. Moments where solitude feels endless, where the world feels distant, where the journey feels too vast, too heavy, too relentless. But this is where awakening sharpens you. This is where spirit is forged. This is where the universe waits to see if you choose expansion or collapse. Do not collapse. Rest if you must, but do not collapse. You did not come this far to fold into the same shadows that once trapped you. You came this far to see the architecture of your own greatness, to stand at the edge of who you have been, and dare to step into who you are becoming. And yes, the path will feel lonely, but loneliness is just the echo of a self you have grown. What feels like emptiness is actually spaciousness, the inner room needed for your next evolution. One day soon, you will look back and realize that the moments you feared the most were not obstacles, they were thresholds. You were not breaking, you were unfolding. You were not lost, you were being redirected. You were not abandoned, You are being guided back to yourself. The world has taught you to chase meaning outward, in success, in status, in validation, in recognition, but all outward meaning eventually dissolves. The only meaning that survives is the one you carve inside your consciousness. The world can take everything from you except your understanding of who you are, and you are not ordinary matter living an ordinary life. You are the universe remembering itself through the lens of a single human voice. You are stardust that learned to think, energy that learned to speak, awareness wrapped in a temporary body yet older than time itself. How could you ever believe you were small? The illusion of smallness was never your nature, it was your training. But now you rise beyond training, now you rise beyond fear, now you rise beyond the echoes of a past self that once believed limitation was truth. What you are doing is not rebellion. It is remembrance, not defiance, but clarity, not escape, but awakening. And the more you awaken, the more sensitive you become to truth. You begin to notice every false promise society offers. Distraction disguised as purpose. Consumption disguised as fulfillment. Noise disguised as wisdom. You begin to see that most people do not think, they repeat. They do not live, they perform. They do not feel, they numb. You are not here to numb. You are here to feel deeply, think vastly, break patterns courageously. Do not fear your sensitivity. It is your superpower. The world is not transformed by hardened hearts and closed minds. It is transformed by those willing to see beyond the surface, to feel beyond the numbness, to imagine beyond the ordinary.
Sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. Awareness is not burden, it is power.
The universe does not reward strength, it rewards alignment. When you are aligned, mountains move. When you are aligned, time bends. When you are aligned, life feels less like a struggle and more like revelation. Everything you seek is already seeking you, but it cannot find the version of you that clings to the old. You must evolve to meet what you desire. You cannot step into a new world with an old identity. So breathe, expand. Allow yourself to grow beyond your own edges. Let identity melt into possibility. Let the unknown become your sanctuary rather than your fear. For the greatest secret is this: you were never searching for meaning. You were searching for permission to become who you already are. And now that permission is yours, not given by the world, but claimed from within. And now you stand at the threshold, not of the world outside you, but of the vast inner world that waits behind your thoughts, behind your name, behind every story you have ever told yourself about who you are and who you must become. The world has shaped you, yes, but only to bring you to this edge. The edge where you finally realize that the cage was never outside. It was always inside. And now you feel the lock breaking, not by force, by awareness. This is the moment most people turn back, not because the path is blocked, but because the path requires them to set themselves free. Do you understand the difference? The world's boundaries are not the true boundaries. It is the boundaries you inherited in your mind that choke your becoming. And once you see them, truly see them, you cannot pretend blindness again. There is a cost to awakening. You lose the comfort of unconscious living. You lose the ability to lie to yourself. You lose the illusion that someone else will come save you. But what you gain is sovereignty, is clarity, is the ability to walk through existence not as a seeker begging life for meaning, but as a creator shaping meaning with every breath. You become the storm that does not destroy. It reveals. You become the silence that does not isolate. It awakens. You become the question and the answer, the student and the truth, the journey and the destination. And as the mind quiets, you sense something extraordinary. The universe is not separate from you. It never was. It beats with your pulse. It moves with your courage. It expands with your awareness. You were never an observer here. You are always a participant in the shaping of existence. Life is not happening to you. Life is happening through you. Every thought opens or closes a doorway. Every belief constructs a horizon. Every moment you choose fear or awakening determines which future you enter. Most people assume the future is given. They live as if destiny is a script handed to them, but destiny is not inherited. It is claimed. Reality is not fixed. It is responsive. Your consciousness is not a passenger. It is the architect. Understand this, and nothing can chain you again. Yes, the world may tremble around you. Yes, systems may fall. Identities may dissolve. Beliefs may crack like old stone under the weight of truth. And still, you will not collapse. Because collapse is only for those who believe their power comes from outside themselves. Your power was never external. It was always the quiet, burning center of your being, waiting for recognition, waiting for permission, waiting for you to remember, and now you do. This awakening, this profound internal shift, is not the END. It is the beginning of conscious existence, the threshold where you stop reacting to life and begin sculpting it, the moment where you stop performing and begin being, the moment where you stop chasing and begin aligning. Evolution is not a future event. It is this breath, this awareness, this unshakable realization that you are not your past, not your fear, not your doubt, not anybody's projection of you, no matter how loud their voice or familiar their influence. You are the space behind thought. You are the witness of inner storms. You are the consciousness looking out from behind your eyes, ancient and unbroken. And as you rise into this truth, the world begins to look different. Not because the world changed, but because you did. People sense something in you, not arrogance, not rebellion, but presence, a quiet power, a grounded clarity, an energy that cannot be imitated because it is not performance. It is essence. You no longer need to speak loudly because truth carries its own volume. You no longer need to prove anything because awakening is not a contest. It is a remembering. You no longer fear being misunderstood because understanding yourself has finally become enough. And from this still powerful place, you will begin to create, not from insecurity, not from desperation, but from alignment. Your dreams shift from wanting to escape life to wanting to explore it, to shape it, to honor it, to experience it with the fullness only an awakened mind can bring. Your past no longer chains you. It informs you. Your pain no longer weakens you. It refines you. Your uncertainty no longer frightens you. It invites you because the unknown is not your enemy. It is your frontier. It is the sacred wilderness where your spirit learns to move without a map, guided only by truth. And yes, this journey will demand everything from you. Your excuses, your old identity, your attachment to who you once were, your allegiance to limitation. Transformation asks for sacrifice, always. But it never asks you to sacrifice anything real. Only the illusions that kept you small. And so now as you inhale the future, as you exhale the last remnants of your old self, you stand in the quiet power of realization. You are not here to be ordinary. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to imitate. You are not here to inherit fear. You are not here to simply survive time. You are here to shape reality with consciousness. You are here to remember the ancient truth beating beneath every heartbeat. You are the universe, experiencing itself through the miracle of one human life. Walk forward not with certainty, but with presence, not with ego, but with awareness, not with force, but with alignment, not with fear, but with curiosity. Trust the mystery. Trust the unfolding. Trust the becoming. Trust the fire in your soul that refuses to go out no matter how dark the world tempted you to become. And as you step into your next breath, know this. You are not finished. You are not complete. You are not done evolving. You are just beginning. You are the awakening this world needed. You are the storm and the stillness. You are the seeker and the answer. You're the question that life asked itself, and the truth life has always been waiting to speak. So stand tall, walk forward, carry your light without apology. The world may not understand you now, but one day it will follow. For those who awaken first always walk alone until the rest remember. And you did not come here to forget. You came here to rise.